On JaguarForums.com, a member named White XKR posted a thread about how to fix the leather cover on the armrest. As you can see, mine is all wrinkly and it's not all puffy and padded like I'd like it to be. Apparently, over time, these things wear out and the padding gets real hard on the elbow. And also, while I'm at it, I want to fix this cup holder. My cup holder, actually, it's dirty, but it's not quite right. There's something that's broken in there. I don't exactly know what it is. So while I have this apart, I'm going to see if I can fix my cup holder without having to replace the entire thing, which is about 160 bucks for the part on eBay. So the first thing to do here, according to White XKR, is pull the whole cover off, which I guess is this screw right here. I might need a different screwdriver. So these two screws and that right there, maybe. Anyway, let me get a different screwdriver. I'm going to need a stubby to pull that one out. And then I'll keep going. Well, I couldn't find my stubby screwdriver, but I did it the easy way. I just leaned the seat forward. That made it much easier. The next thing is to pull out these two screws. And these screws hold in the entire assembly. Then you can take the assembly inside to reupholster it inside. Well, I'm assuming that these two screws right here are actually for the hinge. I probably could have just taken this off in the car using these screws and left the hinge attached to the car. But it didn't make any difference. Take them off here. I have another project planned for inside the armrest anyway. There's a lot of wiring that runs through there. And I want to put in a switch so that my antenna doesn't come up when I'm using the CD player or something like that. So I'm going to remove all these screws. There was 2 there, 4 here, and 2 more up here. I get all those screws removed, and then this this cover right here should come right off. Well, this is a little trickier to take apart than I thought it would be. There's also a couple of Torx screws right here. These are T10s. So I'm going to take these out, and then maybe I'll be able to pry this thing apart. Yeah, now that I've taken those off, this is wanting to come apart. Although I also found out there's a little piece of broken plastic right here where that screw was. So I need to save that to be glued back on. And now I'm assuming this thing is going to pop apart. But still, it's not acting like it wants to. Alright, I'll be back. By sticking a screwdriver blade down in here, I was able to get it to pop apart. Apparently there's sticky, spilled Coca-Cola or something on there. It was kind of holding it together. And so now, holy cow, that's filthy. That'll definitely get washed. So now I've got the lower part off. I'm not quite sure what I'm doing here, but I know there's a Torx bolt right here, or Torx screw that needs to come out because I want to get this. There's that screw. I want to get this entire cup holder assembly out. I'm trying to figure out what's holding it in. By the way, all these Torxes are T10s. Now we just got to figure out how to get this cup holder assembly out. Apparently that screw was the only thing holding this entire cup holder assembly in. It was just very kind of snug. And then I guess on the right here there's 2 little hooks that catch the underside of this plastic tray and kind of hold it in. So by pulling these apart and kind of wedging it back and forth very carefully without breaking anything. Oh, my pizza's ready. Anyway, by pulling that out, by pulling on those and getting those little hooks to release, I was able to pull this thing out. There's just a single screw holding it together. It's now the next day. I went to Joann's and I bought some of this headliner material, which is kind of like, got a little bit of foam padding on it. And I didn't know if this was going to be thick enough. I was told that this would work, but I also bought some of this stuff, which is like, what's it called? It's called Soft and Crafty New Foam. It's an alternative to foam. And it's thicker, and I want a nice padded armrest. And I don't care if it looks puffy, and not like the original factory armrest. I want it to be very comfortable for my elbow. So the next thing to do here is take off this leather cover, and that's done just by peeling away the leather, starting, you know, at some point, and it'll just peel away, and it's all glued down around the edge, and you just peel it up, and I'll go around the whole thing, and then I can take it off. I've got most of it removed now. I just got this little last bit here, and then I'll be able to put more foam on the inside. And there we go. There's the inner piece, and there's the leather cover. This is kind of interesting. If you look at this, you can actually see there used to be foam on there, but it's literally turned to dust. If I start doing this, the foam just kind of peels away, and there's nothing left. So all I need to do is clean this off, and then I can put a new piece of foam, just glue it right here to the surface, and then mount everything back to the plastic. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to use this plastic piece as my template, and I'm just going to use a Sharpie and draw a line down here, get pretty close to the right shape, and then I'll use some scissors to cut it out. That's pretty close there. I'll use some scissors to cut it out, and then after I've cut it out, I'll trim it. I'm going to cut it a little bit oversized right now, but I'll trim it to the right shape once I get it cut out, and then see if it'll fit in there and try to put everything back together and see how puffy it looks. I use some of these stationary clips to hold everything together, and actually it's kind of puffy right now. It's not too puffy, but I like it. I need to do a little trimming here and actually move it towards the back a little bit because there's kind of like a void right back here. But overall, I think this is, I like the puffier look. It's smoothed out most of the wrinkles, and once I get this all stretched out, I think that'll stretch out the rest of the wrinkles. I do have a little bit of a ridge right here, but that's because I've got it too wide. I need to trim it down a little bit more. But I think it's going to look pretty good. Something else I can do here, on the front edge here, I want this to just kind of taper out, so I can cut the thickness of the foam this way. That way, I've got a little wedge there so that when it goes on here, it'll just kind of taper out, and there won't be like a sharp edge where the foam ends. And I did essentially the same thing on the back. I cut that into a little wedge so that when that wraps around, there won't be a sharp edge where the foam ends. I've done my second test fitting now, and I think it fits just about perfect. I've got everything trimmed just the way I want it. Now all I need to do is get some headliner adhesive. It's like a spray stuff. I'll spray it on to the underside of the leather fabric, and then spray it onto the foam also, and put the two pieces together, let it set up for a few minutes, and then I'll reinstall this. And I'm not sure exactly what kind of glue I'm going to use on here. Might get some kind of rubber cement or something, but the glue that was on there, all this yellow stuff, that's the old glue. I've washed this thing really good with soap and water, and this stuff just won't come off. But I'm going to get some kind of glue and put everything back together, and I should have a nice padded foam armrest. Now I've got this thing that I want to take apart. First, I want to be able to reupholster this part of it, but I also want to be able to fix my broken cup holder here. It's held together, it looks like, with some of those same number 10 Torx screws. I gotta be careful here because I've got a spring that's loose, and I don't want that spring to go flying. So I'm going to take off these number 10 Torx screws and see what happens. I'm assuming this is how you take off the upholstery piece. I got these two there, and there's a couple more down here. I'm going to take those off and see if that gets the upholstery piece off. Okay, this part was very confusing. I had a really hard time figuring out how to remove the part with the upholstery on it from the rest of the plastic piece. there's actually 5 screws. There's 3 across the top here, and then 2 down, you know, inside the cup holder. And then I got those off, but this piece wouldn't come off. Actually, what you got to do, this part right here, the outer part, once you get those screws out, you have to slide it upwards. There's apparently some little hooks in here. In fact, I don't even see them, but oh, there it is, right there. That little notch right there, it goes into that little hole right there. And when you push it together and then push it down, it'll snap back together. So to get it apart, you have to push this outer bit up and then pull it out. And this was already broken. This is the broken part on it. And I'm going to try to glue that back together. And now, this is the part that was broken. What I wanted to do here is get this plastic piece off, because that's where the thing is broken. There's actually a spring. If you flip this up, you can see a spring down there on the inside. But this little piece right here is identical to this piece, and by lifting up on the cup holder, that little bit right there will slide down and go through that slot, and I'll be able to pull it out. However, there's a spring that attaches right there in that hole, so I need to get some needle nose pliers, pull that spring off, and then I'll be able to take the entire cup holder assembly off. There's the spring, it's way back in there. Taking it off was pretty easy, but I'm guessing that putting it back on is going to be quite difficult. I'll figure it out when I come to that, though. So now I've got this off. I'm going to take these springs off and wash everything really good. There's a spring right here that I don't know what it does, but I'm going to have to get it back in position, and then I'm going to glue this part right here back on so that I can reassemble the cup holder. But actually, before I do any of that, I'm going to take it to the sink and wash everything really well. Alright, to repair this little plastic piece, I figured out what that spring is for. The spring is for the this little piece right here. It's a little spring-loaded thing that holds the cup in place. So to repair this plastic piece, I want to use some 5-minute epoxy. I think the epoxy will work better on plastic than super glue or anything like that. So I'm just going to mix it up, put this in place, and cross my fingers and hope that it sticks. While that epoxy is hardening, I just put one of these clips on there to hold everything in place. One of the things about gluing plastic is you never really know if the glue you're using is going to work. There's different kinds of plastics and different kinds of glue different kinds of plastics, but they don't cross over. So I'm using this 5-minute epoxy, which seems to do a pretty good job on most of the plastic I've tried. But if that doesn't work, then my backup plan is to use super glue. While that's hardening, I've started taking off the leather on this, and to put all this leather back on, I was debating whether I should use contact cement, which is the stuff that's used like to glue laminate countertops to the substrate, or if I should use rubber cement. Contact cement is permanent. Once you attach it, it's stuck for good. And rubber cement is kind of like contact cement, but it's kind of rubbery and you can remove it. And I think what they did, I don't know if you can see that, but this right here is kind of rubbery, the glue that was used to hold the leather on. So I'm going to start off by trying to use the rubber cement. And I'm crossing my fingers that the rubber cement is the right glue to use to hold this on. I've just about got this peeled away. It comes off pretty easily, but it's just really snug on there. So now that I've got this piece off, there we go. And there is the old piece of foam that was underneath it. And there's not much to it. It's flat as a board now. There's nothing left to it. So I'm going to take another piece of this headliner foam, which is, not very thick, but it should give me a nice little bit of padding underneath there. And I'm going to use the headliner foam, cut out a piece that fits in there perfectly, glue it in place, and put this back on. It took a couple minutes to get this thin piece of foam off. The glue on there was holding it on pretty good, but it came off. And I'm going to use this as a template just to get a basic idea of how to cut out the other piece. But while I've got this here, this is the cup holder assembly, and my cup holder, let me pull it open here. My cup holder, you can see the hinges right here. These are little metal hinges. I think on some of the older models, it actually used like a plastic hinge, and there was like a pin that went through there and attached to something over there. These metal hinges actually are pretty durable, because I haven't had a problem with my hinges. You can see where there's a hole there for the pin to go through. If you've got one of the older ones that you're trying to repair where the hinge is broken, maybe you can rig up some kind of other hinge, like these little metal hinges here, and screw them in place. Not exactly sure, but I'm glad that my cup holder is the new design and not the old design. I was originally going to use this headliner material, but I've changed my mind. What I'm going to use now is the same foam that I used on the main part of the armrest, except I can just split it because I don't want it to be so fat, so thick. I'm going to split it and just use a thinner section of it. That way it'll match the rest of the armrest. Okay, I finally have this thing reassembled. Got that thing recovered. It turned out to be a little bit more complicated than I thought it would be. It's not difficult or anything. I mean, if you've got half an ounce of mechanical skills, then you can do it. Just getting the springs back in and everything turned out to be more difficult than I'm sure anybody would want to see on the camera. So I skipped all that. But this is all glued back together. I might end up, depending on how well this holds, I don't know if my rubber cement is going to hold the edges good enough. So I might end up using that contact cement. If so, it's just a matter of taking this thing apart again and using the contact cement rather than the rubber cement. But this is ready to go back into the other piece. But I need to glue all this stuff down. So that's what I'm going to do next. All right, for this I'm going to start off by spraying this 3M adhesive onto the back of the foam pad, and then carefully placing the pad in here and then pressing it down so it sticks. I'm going to go spray the foam pad out in the garage because I'm going to be doing this here in my dining room, but I'll have this in just a second. Now that I have the piece of foam held in there with the spray on glue, it's just a matter of putting this all together, making it fit. And to do that, I'm going to use these little clips to hold everything in place. And then as I do that, I'll use the contact cement to hold everything together once I've got everything clipped together. So here I go. I got the upholstery thing glued back on. It's all nice and puffy now, nice and soft. Now I just got to put the bottom part back on. Or this is the top part, I guess the bottom part. Got to put it back on, put the latch in place, put the hinge back in, and then there's one other piece which I seem to have misplaced, but there's another piece that I got to put on. I got all the pieces put back together and then reinstall it in the car. All right, before you can put the bottom piece back on, you've got to put this little piece in, and to put this in, you've got to put the cup holder in. And then after you've got the cup holder in, you have to make sure that everything's working, which it is. As you're putting it back together, there's two little tiny torque screws that go up here in the very front corners to kind of keep the sides from spreading too far apart. Don't forget to put those back in, and as you're taking it apart, don't forget about those because you don't want to break that as you're pulling it apart. Anyway, it's all done. It's nice and puffy now. It's ready to be reinstalled in the car. When putting this back in, remember that the hinge goes underneath that right there. The first time I did it, I put the hinge in on top and it didn't want to close right. But the hinge goes underneath and then you just screw it down. And that's it. There's my newly padded armrest, all re-padded and nice and comfy from my elbow. I think it looks pretty good and I can't wait to use it. Here's a test. I haven't done this yet. This is the first time live test on camera. Oh, and the cup holder works. Look at that. That's awesome. Great.